Morning, Jerry.
Good morning.
And everybody else?
Good morning, Jerry. Good morning, Marianne. I see Selena.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, hear you loud and clear, Marianne.
Okay. Working on video.
Well, one step at a time.
It takes me about almost 10 minutes to log on. I don't know why.
Oh,
So why on the video? All right. Okay.
we've got you now.
Okay, goody.
There's Bud.
How is your hill, Dale?
Well, I haven't been down the road yet today, but I've been on generator since 6:30 last night.
Oh, you have a power outage. Okay.
Yeah. And right now I'm being fed from the other side of Skyline, and it looks like everybody over there is out of power. So it could be a while before they get to me.
Yeah. Well, you have a generator, so that's good.
Yep.
What internet do you use, Dale?
I have two. One is called Cruisio. It's I've got a wireless link to a fiber point of presence in downtown Palo Alto, and I also have Starlink.
Well,
Dale, what do you pay for Starlink a month?
Oh God, I think it's $100 roughly, maybe 150.
It's not so bad. Okay.
No, it's pretty reasonable. I mean, I'm paying, 150 for my Cruisio, and
Yeah.
that's I'm throttled at 25 megabits on that.
Okay.
So how much rain have you had?
Actually, this little storm, not much.
I mean, this whole series that you've had.
Oh, well, last week I had 12 inches, and so far this week I think it's under 3.
Well, we've had 12 inches last week here at Sequoias too.
Okay. So
we had 1 3/4 in the last 24 hours.
yeah, I think I'm a little over that, but
I think it was nothing like last Friday, the last 24 hours.
Yeah, no. The winds have been pretty substantial.
Yeah.
Right.
But I kept looking at the Doppler radar, and it was all to the east of us. It came up straight from the south to the east of us last night. Yeah. So it was interesting.
Yeah, when I drove home, it was about 9:30 last night, and I was going like 40 miles an hour on the freeway because I couldn't believe how people were driving normal, and I was just like, no, not me, thank you. And then I got back to by the time I ate dinner, we could hear cracking going on because I live in this place called the Woods. And so we took a walk, and there were just pieces of trees all over the place, in people's cars. We were up pretty late, so we don't have power here as well. I'm at home at the moment.
Where is that, Selena? Where is the Woods?
It's in San Jose. It's a giant apartment complex with like villages inside. So it's on Capitol across from the like flea market area that they have. The drive-in.
And you have flooding, right? San Jose had flooding yesterday evening.
Yeah. I'm fortunate enough where I'm on a 3rd story. So even if it did have any flooding here, I'm at the tippy top. But we get the wind. We got the wind like crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I see Craig has joined us. Good morning, Craig. And we have 5. We need 1 more for a quorum.
Good morning. I don't count as a member of the quorum, right?
No, you do not.
just being clear. And I'm not officially your liaison, but I thought I'd at least drop in case you guys had anything you needed me to pass on.
Oh, that's great.
Craig, you lost about half your hair since last time I saw you.
What?
Haircut.
Haircut.
That's the politician look.
Yeah, that's it. Gotta be smooth. My fellow constituents, thank you for noticing my hair this morning. I appreciate your concerns and let me see what I can do.
Okay, good morning. There's Rob. We now have a quorum. I'm going to wait just a few minutes and see. I am aware that Lynn is not going to make it. And Dave House, fortunately for him, is in Hawaii, so he'd have to get up really early. So he's not going to make it. I see Ray joining us.
Good.
And
Dale, I just arrived. It's Ray.
I see you. Good morning, Ray.
Good morning.
Okay, so, and the only other person who might make it is Chris. Ray, like I was mentioning, I know that Lynn is not going to make it.
Right.
And Dave Howes is in Hawaii, so he probably is not going to make it. So we are probably going to go ahead and get started. The disadvantage for all of you today is that Lynn not being here, I will take the notes unless I have a volunteer, so the notes will be of lesser quality. Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. And we'll do a roll call. I am here. Lynn is not. Dave Howes is not. Mary Ann.
Yes.
Yes. Chris Ronis. I don't see Chris. Ray Rothrack. I see
Yeah.
Ray. Jerry.
Yes.
Vic.
Yes.
Bud.
Yes.
And Rob Young.
Present.
Great, thank you all. And we now have our quorum. Oral communications, anybody from this committee or from the public have anything to comment on that is not currently on the agenda? Okay, I also don't, I will make one comment here. As you notice, we changed this meeting to a virtual meeting because I was a little bit concerned that I'd be able to actually get to the schoolhouse this morning. It looks like I probably could have, but anyway, the next meeting will be a hybrid meeting. So that means those of us who can make it to the schoolhouse should try to be there, but you could still be virtual, at least for some period of time. I believe that by March approximately, and Jeremy can correct me if I'm wrong, we have to all be in person. But
Yeah, thank you through the chair. Good morning and happy new year, everybody. For good or bad, that is where we're at. State law is, well, the state emergency is going away. So our ability to have the committee members do hybrid is essentially taken away from us. We hope to work with other cities, with the state and our legislators to see if we can find a different way to do this. But in March, we'll have to be, the committee members at least will have to be in person. The public can still participate in hybrid. Thanks, Dale.
Jeremy, can I ask a question?
Of course.
Just thinking of other boards, board members have been able to call into meetings on the phone for, as far as I know, and participate in a meeting. So I'm not sure why it wouldn't work to still do hybrid meetings. So that seems strange to me.
Yeah, no, so thank you, Jerry. The nuance here is that prior to COVID, what state law said around Brown Act was that if you served on a board or commission, a council, you could attend the meeting remotely, and it used a sort of a different set of rules. You had to post at your location the meeting agenda. You had to welcome the public into the area you were at, etc. So it's a pretty onerous suite of rules that existed prior to COVID that frankly few people took advantage of because I don't know many people who were interested in inviting the public into their home or other places when they were conducting these meetings. So I can get further clarification from Cara, but that's my understanding of where things will be back to in March. So you can certainly attend the meeting remotely, but you have to use the older rules, which is what I just mentioned.
Yeah, they're actually pretty simple. I've done it many times. You post it and nobody comes into your house, so it's not.
Typically not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
typically
believe
not.
it.
But the one thing I would add is you have to be ADA compliant. That's actually, at least for me, that would be the sticking point.
Yeah, that's a big issue. And that hasn't been, typically what we saw was people were doing this, when they were on a vacation or something, they were in Chicago and they wanted to attend the meeting. So they would actually sit in a kind of a public area in a hotel that's ADA compliant, for example. That's how people usually did it. Thanks.
Sure.
Okay, and just one comment that may make it challenging for our meetings going forward, since we have 10 members right now, so we would need to get 6 people in physical attendance to have a quorum. Okay, next item, review and approval of minutes. Minutes were attached. I resent them out this morning. Do I have a motion to approve unless there's a motion to amend?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Passed unanimously. Thank you. Okay, each year we're supposed to elect officers, and I'm also supposed to poll people and see who wants to continue on the committee. I would hope that everyone would continue. We've got a great group. If you are considering not continuing, either let me know by email or you can speak up in this meeting. Otherwise, I want to presume that everybody will continue on the committee for the next year. As far as officers go, I'm willing to serve one more year as chairman. I think we've got a lot of things going. Hopefully we can wrap up things like the safety element and the evacuation thing in the next 6 months, and it'll be a nice, smooth transition to a new chairman for next year. So if people are willing to have me, I'm willing to serve for one more year.
I nominate you.
Second.
Okay. Let's go ahead and vote on that. Any other nominations, by the way?
Move we close.
Second.
Okay, let's go ahead and vote on that. Jerry,
Yes.
Marianne,
Yes.
Bud,
Yes.
Vic,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Ray,
Here, yes.
and me, I'll say yes. Okay,
Good.
now, vice chairman. I would like to find someone who would be willing to serve next year. So over the course of the next several months, we can begin a transition process and work on the agendas, minutes, and subcommittees together to get a vice chair up to speed. Our current vice chair is Jerry. So do I have any nominations for vice chair?
And I'm Terry.
I
Well,
nominate
Jerry-
everyone else. They don't-
Jerry, are you willing to serve?
I am willing to serve. I don't know if there's an age limit or not, but I would be happy to let a more energetic younger person take the position. I'm not coveting this. I'm not Kevin McCarthy looking for this job.
I don't know. Let's see if we have the number of votes for you.
There is an age limit, Jerry. It's like Moses, 120.
Okay, we have a nomination of Jerry for vice chair. Do we have a second?
Second. Close.
And moved closed. All in favor?
Aye.
Jerry.
Aye.
Aye.
We have to take a roll call, unfortunately. Jerry,
Sure.
Mary Ann,
Aye.
Bud,
Yes.
Vic,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
Ray,
Yes.
and myself is a yes. So congratulations, Jerry.
Hey, Jerry.
So can we nominate Lynn for the secretary when she's not present?
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and nominate Lynn by acclamation. I sent her an email. She's in Austin visiting her mom. I didn't get a response that she would continue, but in absentia, I'm willing to nominate Lynn as secretary.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Done.
Aye.
Done.
Second.
Okay, very good. Now on to the item of the day, which is the EPC comments to the safety element. And just as a reminder, there was a subcommittee. The subcommittee was Jerry, Rob is the chair, Mary Ann, myself, and Craig Taylor attended a couple of those meetings until he was elected and had to remove himself. At any rate, the recommendations from the subcommittee are incorporated in one of the attachments that was in the document packet. And the subcommittee recommendations to changes, clarifications were all in red in that fairly exhaustive document. And I don't know how many meetings we had. I think we had at least 3 or 4. Rob did a yeoman's job of editing and putting everybody's comments into the document. So thank you, Rob, for that. Otherwise, we'd still be at square one. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up for EPC members to comment, have questions on this recommendations from the subcommittee.
Dale, Ray here. So these the comments,
Yeah.
how does this get, those comments get, does the document get rebuilt? Or how is it feathered together before the final presentation?
Okay, great question. As I understand it, the comments, questions from the various subcommittees, which include ours, the Wildfire Committee, the Sustainability Committee, and the Geologic Safety Committee, will all be sent along with all the public comments to the Planning Commission. Between the Planning Commission and town staff, they will decide which comments will be included in an updated safety element. They will then approve or deny that, and then that will be sent to the town council. So it's not clear to me how many more iterations of this are, but our recommendations are just that. These are the recommendations of the EPC, which maybe carry slightly more weight than the recommendations of an individual. But at least they will all go to the Planning Commission for their review and in incorporation or not. So I know that, we didn't look too much at the geologic because that was, the responsibility of the Geologic Safety Committee and so on. So
first of all, it's a tremendous input. So thanks to everybody, especially Rob, who brought it all together. There's a lot of comments. It'll be hard to know, I think, what they incorporated and what they didn't. I mean, anyway, that's a Herculean task if we wanted to know. So, or if there's some priority or some, here's an A comment that we believe must be in there. Here's a B comment that we would like to, I don't know how I wasn't involved, so I don't mean to second guess the process after the fact, but there's a lot of red in this document. So
go ahead, Rob.
Everybody might want to take a look at the response from the town staff on the questions that we sent in for clarification, because I think that'll give a little bit of a flavor of what is going on in the town. I think that would be important for everybody to, it'd only take you like 10 minutes to read through that.
A question, what's the difference between bright red and dark red?
So,
Go ahead, Rob.
the light red is just sort of parenthetical remarks, you know, more of a philosophy statement. The dark red is directly what we were proposing.
Oh, okay.
There's only one or two light reds.
Jerry, go ahead.
Yeah, I have two comments. First, I don't think we can thank Rob enough for all the work that he did in leading this subcommittee and putting it together. I mean, I just felt like an appendage in a way. I mean, he just did a tremendous job, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jerry.
I think that there is one area that the EPC should understand in these comments or recommendations, and that is the who in fact will have the authority to make decisions about certain things. Will it be, let's say, Woodside Fire, who will have the power to make decisions for the town, or will it be the council in a sense who will have the power to make decisions? That was probably the most complex question for me as we went through these recommendations. So, you know, everyone can think about themselves for themselves who they want who the town should give responsibility to. Should it be quote unquote the elected officials? Should it be quote unquote members of specific committees, or should it be an outside agency or not? So just wanted to make sure that everyone understands that that is baked into those recommendations.
Okay.
Take silence for acceptance, I guess.
Well, it's a huge question, and I think it's you know, we debated it in the subcommittee, and my guess it will also be debated at higher levels, and particularly concerning wildfire. But you know, we all now we have shifted in the space of 30 days from wildfire to mudslides. So all of those things, you know, factor in here. Any other comments or questions from the committee? Because I see Craig has raised his hand.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the right time to ask this. What I was wondering, I have heard a lot since the 30th or 31st of people saying, people who live in the hillside, which a number of people in Portola Valley. Uphill, my neighbor has put in so much. I'm not talking about you, Ray. I'm paraphrasing what people said to me. Has put in more impervious surfaces, and now water is coming down that has never come down where it was coming down. I can't feed it into my drainage ditch. And so I was just wondering if we should look at the safety element a little bit more, the aspect of putting in impervious surfaces, because as we have seen in the last 8 days, it has real impact for people who live in hillsides who live below. So that's just one thought that came to my mind because of what has been happening with the weather.
That's a very good point. I don't remember anything in the safety element having to deal with that, unfortunately. I see. Okay, well, we're going to come back to that. Marianne, let me take comments from Craig first, and then Jeremy has his hand up. Craig, go ahead.
Yes, thanks. So I also wanted to thank Rob. I thought he did a great job. I wanted to put a little bit finer point. I mean, as Rob was mentioning, the questions went to staff. Staff answered, you know, some of those questions. All of the comments go to the Planning Commission. And certainly when I was on the Planning Commission, you know, I read all the staff responses, but I read all the inputs from the various committees as well. So it'll be a big job for them, but they're pretty good about reading through all that stuff. So I think all that stuff gets to the Planning Commission, and then they're sort of the next phase of trying to integrate all this stuff together. So I think that's the process. And then, like you say, it gets to the council, and then hopefully, you know, we'll continue to refine it. On the fire code, it's kind of my understanding that the rules are pretty straightforward, that the town adopts the fire code and the fire department basically enforces the fire code. So it's not clear to me. I know people have been saying, you know, well, the fire marshal should basically be responsible for these things, but I don't know if the town can cede some of the authority that's basically given to them. So that's the other piece that as we work through this, it'll be interesting to better understand where those guardrails are, so to speak. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Craig. Jeremy.
Thanks, Dale, through the chair. Marianne, to Marianne's comment, we've been having a lot of internal discussions about what to do about situations, and this predates, you know, the last couple of days for sure. You know, what to do about runoff off of properties. And I don't have a good answer right now, but I would welcome, you know, any input from the EPC. I'm sure the Planning Commission and the council will. If there's a, you know, a program that we want to see, you guys want to see included, that speaks to, you know, trying to identify a way to deal with this, but to be just a bit more specific. You know, we have a whole series of conditions that are attached to projects being approved, typically through, you know, the ASCC, sometimes Planning Commission, but usually ASCC. And, you know, once the project's done, the project's done. We don't typically go out on any regular basis to see if things are still the way they are. So let me give you classic examples. Someone says that they're going to keep a tree as part of their project. A year later, they may come in for a permit to remove the tree, and that's okay. Another example would be, you know, if someone was required, we said, you know, put in X kind of lights, and they did, and then a year later they swap them out, you know, so it's hard to track that stuff. But, you know, certainly we're open to hearing ideas on how to do that. The other piece to consider is, and I'm not aware that there's a functional difference here, but we have private road systems and public road systems in Portola Valley, as you know. And, you know, it's one thing if we've got, you know, mud and debris coming across a public road. It may be entirely another thing going across a private road. And oftentimes we, you know, where we tend to go is that these are civil matters that are outside of, you know, any issue. But I think it's I think it's important. And I mean, to the extent that this committee wants to put in some kind of suggestion, recommendation on a program for, you know, staff to study this and come up with something different. That's exactly what looks like you guys did in your draft, and I want to commend everybody who worked on it, but that would be fine. Thanks.
Yeah, you know, Jeremy, one thing that was going through my mind, the ASCC is doing a good job with runoff, but now we have things like ADUs and what have you that don't go through ASCC.
Right.
And so if you have an ADU that's smack middle in a ravine, which has been happening, who is looking at the runoff? Is anybody? So you know, that's just one thought. And yeah, I would like, because, you know, I had a mudslide at my house in the 90s at the El Nino, and this has always been dear to my heart. And thank God I have Uphill Ray, who has done a fantastic job up there to help with the runoff. So this is something I have been watching for decades, actually, and I would be very happy if maybe we want to continue the work in the subcommittee and work along those lines a little bit to give it some meat if everybody is interested.
Great. So Marianne, you now have a new job.
Okay.
So, and you know, instead of creating a new subcommittee, we're just going to leave it under the, you know, the safety element. So between you and Rob and Jerry, it'd be great to come up with some language or a program or something that we can, I think we still will have plenty of time to bring it back to this committee and submit it to the planning commission or to town staff to come up with a program to look at this, because I agree, it's a big deal. And
Okay.
Mary Ann, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
okay, so do we have any other comments on the recommendations from the subcommittee? Okay, with having heard none, do I have a motion to approve the recommendations and send?
Through the chair, I'm sorry, Dale, we should take public comment.
Oh, public, thank you, Jeremy.
Welcome.
Public comment, anyone who wish to speak on the EPC comments to the safety element? I don't see any. And please, folks, if someone sees a hand raised, please let me know. Sometimes I don't always see them, but I don't see any now. So I will then close public comment and call for a motion.
Move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ray. Okay, we'll take a vote. Jerry. You're muted, Jerry. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Mary Ann.
Aye.
Bud. Yes. Vic.
Yes.
Rob.
Yes.
Ray.
Yep.
And me. Yes. So unanimous. We have approved the recommendations
Oh, damn.
to the safety element from the EPC. Thank you, Rob. Next on the agenda is there were a series of comments from Woodside Fire that were attached to the first grouping of the safety element. I included those. The subcommittee reviewed those. And I also included a draft resolution, which people feel free to change, in support of the Woodside Fire comments and recommendations to the safety element. So do we have any comments, thoughts on this, on either the Woodside Fire comments or our resolution?
I didn't see the resolution. Is it attached? I didn't see that.
Yes, it's
Oh, yeah, there it is. I see it now.
it's pretty simple. It's
I see it. Four
four
lines.
lines.
Okay.
I have no comments, thoughts, for anybody?
Just a general question. There's some disagreements in their comments. So what's the process for resolving? What's the time frame and process for resolving some of this?
That's a great question. I think that we haven't received the latest. I mean, what I saw again is that all these comments will go to the planning commission. They will hash them out. Then again, I think there will be at least one meeting, maybe two, of public comments on a finalized document before it goes to town council. So this is a couple of months in the process, Ray.
I see. Got it.
And maybe longer. Craig or Jeremy can answer that, but this is not going to be the next 30 days.
Okay.
Yeah, through the chair, that's Dale's got it spot on, and some of this is a bit iterative too as new information comes in and the like. But
Yeah.
what Dale said is correct. There's still much process to come, and there'll be multiple review opportunities in different bodies. Thanks.
Okay,
Quick
Jerry.
question, Dale. I'm just wondering, is this even necessary? I mean, are we assuming that if we don't pass this for some reason that they will not be looking at these comments, or what?
No, this is just our
Support.
us being supportive of the Woodside Fire comments. I mean, the planning commission will get them, and they will do with them just like they're going to do with our comments, either accept them, reject them, incorporate them, not incorporate them, modify them. So it's just a message of support.
Okay, I move approval.
I second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion. Jerry, on the motion, aye or nay?
Yes. Yeah.
Mary Ann,
Aye.
Bud,
I,
Vic,
Yes,
Rob,
Aye.
Ray,
Yes,
and myself, yay. So that's also unanimous. So thank you all very much. A lot of work that went on in that subcommittee. So thanks to Rob, Jerry, Mary Ann, and to Craig, who attended some of the meetings. That was a lot of
And what-
work went on.
And Woodside Fire.
And Woodside Fire, yes, we did have input from Dawn, so we appreciate that. Okay, and we are making great time, so thank you this morning. Jerry, you are up with your Zone Haven Identification Awareness Project.
So we're moving along. The designs are essentially complete. I was not able to pull it all together to get it into the packet, so we'll do that for the next meeting. What I need to do is at this point check with Jeremy about covering costs for two different stickers, quote unquote, one being the larger one that would be appropriate to put by your phone or somewhere in your house, and the second being the size of a luggage tag, so you could put it actually on your go bag and you could copy it and make multiple luggage tags for other people in your house. The letter that will accompany it is close to complete, but the holiday sort of got in the way of finishing it because I want Kari to review it. And then lastly, there's the process of getting these printed, getting them into addressed envelopes and getting them mailed. And I'm going to be talking with Jeremy about how much support the town would have for us in getting that done, or how much we would need to look at hiring to get this to be done. But in the next February meeting, I will have the packet complete for approval of the committee.
Great, thank you. Do we have any comments? Great progress, Jerry. I think this is a wonderful project. And if you remember, we allocated up to $4,000 from this committee, and we could probably get something from the next year's budget for it also.
Well, Jeremy commented that he had some other support, and I know he's interested in making this happen, and he's got his hand up. So
Okay.
We'll see if he actually still agrees for that.
Jeremy, go ahead, please.
Through the chair. Yes, sir. Of course, I agree. I think it's phenomenal work, first of all, for what that's worth. And I do believe that I've got a source that can fund this. So, well, Jerry, you and I can work offline. I thought I would also note that I don't know if folks caught this yesterday, but Zone Haven was activated, not extensively, but a number of cities that had some major issues started to use it last night to show, or over the course of the last couple of days, to show major traffic issues if intersections were out and the like. So Zone Haven is going to become even more and more important throughout its use. So I think this is very timely. Thank you.
Yep, I agree. I kept getting notices about areas in Santa Cruz County actually calling for evacuation, and they were doing it by zone. So I think it's very important to know your zones. Okay, I see a hand raised by Craig. Go ahead, Craig.
Thanks. Just a comment, Jerry, when you do your write-up, one thing you might consider, one thing I did a couple of days ago, I guess back the 31st when things were going crazy, is I actually took the Zone Haven URL and turned it into a little mini app and put it on my phone so that I could just click it rather than trying to look it up in my email and figure out, what their URL is. So we might consider putting that in the write-up, not on the little tags, but in the write-up as of another way to get to that information quickly.
You can put a QR code on there too.
Yeah, you can also take a picture of it and have it in your wallet, I think, so that it's immediately available on your phone.
Yeah, well, this
But-
little, I can show it to you at some point. I mean, literally, I just tap this little icon button and it just pops up. It's pretty convenient.
Great, I will get to you and include that in the letter.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Any public comment on Jerry's project here? Great. Good job, Jerry. This is awesome. Exactly the kind of thing we need to be doing. Okay, on to the town report. Jeremy.
How about the Woodside Fire Report?
Oh, I skipped them. I'm sorry. I see Rob on the phone and on the Zoom and Selena. So Rob, floor is yours. Thank you, sir.
I thought I was going to get out of that one. Good morning, everybody. I'll just give you a report on the topic of conversation with the weather and kind of what's gone on in the last week. So since Saturday, normally on a reasonably busy week, 7-day week, we would probably run 50 calls at the most, on an average. Saturday alone, during that storm, we were assigned to about 83 calls in that 24-hour period. That's covering the district, not just Portola Valley. Mostly flooding, trees down, wires down, aside from vehicle accidents, medical aids, etc. Multiple road closures. We upstaffed both Saturday and yesterday, as well as today. We had our chipper crews, 2 teams on standby for all 3 days.
Wow.
And we were able to hold our own as far as not requiring much aid from the outside. It was steady, but it was good. Everybody did an amazing job work-wise. The CERT teams were activated. Public, as far as all the work that the public did, was fantastic. Communications with the towns was great, just to get that by. Yesterday, in anticipation of what was going to be assumed to be potentially worse, fortunately, it didn't. As far as call volume, we ran about 30 calls over about the last 12 hours since the system came in yesterday afternoon. Same thing, more wires down with trees since we had, a little more wind. Like Jeremy was talking about with Zone Haven, our internal personnel have been updating Zone Haven with road closures as this incident has been going on, and we will continue to do that. If there's areas that you see that are closed that we may have missed, by all means, let us know and we can update that. Or if something was closed and has been reopened, you can let us know that as well. That's going through our deputy fire chief as well as Selena. So just let one or both or all of us know, and we can get those updated. But the county in general, different areas of the county got hit harder than others at separate times. I mean, the coast has been hit hard. The lower lying areas, Redwood City, San Carlos, Belmont, San Mateo, South San Francisco, have all been hit hard. All elected officials are meeting daily to get a report from the county. The county executives, the county or city managers, fire chiefs, or police chiefs, etc. We're meeting multiple times to give updates. Our next meeting's at 9 o'clock, regarding fire chiefs, etc. Through DEM. The county EOC has been open continuously throughout since Saturday. They're 24 hours up and running right now until this incident ends. So right now they're projected through the weekend, or at least through Friday. But as you see, probably on the weather, the systems are coming in, those waves. So we got the wave that went through last night. We get another wave, looks like Saturday, another wave on Monday. And so we'll, as far as us internally, we'll commit our staffing accordingly to that. So it's been hectic, but tolerable, and we've been able to maintain that throughout. So thanks to all of you.
A question. What's the difference between SMC Alert and Zone Haven with regard to road closures, etc.?
SMC Alert would be the channel that we're reaching out to advise. Zone Haven is just the platform to put it on a map. So Zone Haven, initially was intended for evacuations and for repopulation, but as Zone Haven is evolving, we're realizing that we can put, point in time data, into Zone Haven so people could just go onto the site and look for information. So this was brand new in this incident where they kind of trialed, hey, if we're interactive with this to show road closures, we can do that. So you're seeing it on the map, but we would still put out that via SMC alert if we need to. So they're different, but we can put the same information.
Rob, I have a question. When you're talking about the number of calls, are these all 911 calls, or do you get a percentage of calls directly to the fire stations?
Any and all of the above. So,
Okay.
so people will call 911, people will call the fire station, people will stop by and notify us, and that's kind of how we're running right now. The county implemented yesterday the 211 system that was intended for non-emergency calls, information for sandbags, etc. As of, was it 9 o'clock last night? I think they've received about 25 calls since the system went up and running. But there has been some comments back to us that people have been unable to get through. So it's all channels. If you look on, I know a lot of you look at Pulse Point, with your information. If you're looking for our area and you happen to see like a WFEOC, that means that our internal DOC has been activated. So we activated our DOC both Saturday and yesterday. And all our intention was we get our calls via, we get our 911 calls via public safety communications. If we don't take that off the table, it will be holding in that system until it is cleared, the priority and the non-priority calls. By opening up our DOC, what we were doing is rerouting those calls, the non-priority calls, to get them out of the 911 system, and we would handle them internally. So you'd see that on there, you'd see an address and you'd see WFEOC. That just means that we're handling the call. It could be, it could be on that board for hours, so to speak, but it would be out of Pulse Point because it's out of the PSC. It would show it as a recent call, but it might still be active for us because it's basically on our charts, so to speak, as we're running them. And we just basically, as our units become available, we assign them to those incidents.
Jerry has a question. Jerry, go ahead.
I just want to make a comment. Rob talked about the fact that CERT had been activated. I think it is actually the first time that a CERT has been officially activated for something. And I believe it was 2 days ago that there was a call to help fill sandbags. And I think about 6 to 7 CERTs showed up in Woodside and helped do that. And then again, last night, there was a CERT activation to man the Woodside town center in case anyone had to evacuate and was looking for a place to stay. So I think it's kind of the first incidents where all of the work that's been done and all of the investment that's been made by both towns of Woodside and Portola Valley is beginning to show that there will be an activation arm of citizens that can help with things that normally are not handled by the other first responders. So I think we should all feel good about that.
Oh, Jerry, you stole my thunder.
I was going to say, I didn't want to steal thunder either. I wanted Selena to be able to come. So we actually made a choice to assign her as the incident commander on the CERT side because of the responsibility at that level and the success as to what has been going on with that program. So she deserves all the accolades as well as everybody who's working in that, in that system, because we're improving, but we are at a level to where we have confidence, to that level of confidence. And it's all because of her and everybody who has been her sidekicks throughout this.
Yep, I agree. It's been fabulous. Craig's got his hand up.
Thanks. I wanted to ask, and maybe I'm asking this of the committee, but I think it's unclear to sort of mere mortals where all this information is and what order to look at it. Because even Zone Haven, and I consider myself reasonably knowledgeable, it's really easy to look at your zone. For the life of me, I couldn't figure out how to look at the zones like in Woodside to see what was going on in Trip Road, for instance. So it seems like somebody needs to sort of dig into this and sort of provide some instructions on how to operate for sort of typical scenarios, but also kind of maybe a priority list of, you know, if you're looking for emergency information as a resident, start here and then work your way down, because it really is getting a little confusing with SMC Alert and in Zone Haven and how much does it get used, and then all the other websites. So I'm not sure whose responsibility it is, but it seems like something that if this committee could do, it would really be a great service to the residents of, you know, both towns and actually the whole district to sort of better understand where they can get emergency information. Thanks.
Thanks.
And Zone Haven wise, Tony Blackman, who's the battalion chief that is the fire liaison to the Department of Emergency Management, he goes out to the community, or not community, but he goes out to areas to train on Zone Haven. It might be a good idea to reach out to him, or I can relay a message to do some sort of presentation to members of the EPC, and then you could decide if it should be more widespread, or you kind of take that on to get more messaging out as well.
What's his name again, Rob?
Tony Blackman.
Thank you.
I think that's a great idea. Rob, I'll be in touch. Maybe we can set it up for the next meeting or the meeting after, so we can.
Yeah, I would. I mean, it would take a while, so I would probably do that as a separate training.
Oh, okay.
I'll set up a time to where whomever. I mean, he's gone through updates with us multiple times. We just had him out with a sand table exercise just about a month ago.
Okay, so this is more than just a presentation at one of our monthly meetings.
If you'd like to have him present, we can. You know, you could definitely make a call. Just a simple presentation.
That might be a good first step.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could he tone it down to maybe a 20-minute overview?
I'm sure he can tailor it to whatever you like. If you have certain bullet points that you like to see addressed, then he can focus on those.
Yeah, why don't we do that first, and then if we need a follow-up, we can do that. So great, thanks, Rob. And Jeremy, your hand is up.
Yeah, just I'm sorry talking so much today through the chair. Very briefly, to Craig Taylor's comments, you know, one of the things that I put together right before holidays was a draft evacuation plan for the town. And really what it is it's an amalgamation of currently available materials and I think a much easier to read and understand format. And I shared that with Rob Young, and Rob shared that. It's been shared with the Woodside Fire Protection District as well. So I know they're doing a little bit of work there. And, you know, to Craig's point, one of the things that's certainly a priority for me is that folks just know what's going on, you know, and how to get information pretty quickly. So I'm sure I'll have more to say about that in the future, but just to let you know, one of those efforts is underway. Thanks.
Thanks, Jeremy. Okay, unless you have anything else, Chief, any public comments? Questions?
Is Selena going to come next, or did we
Yes.
just sort of wrap her into this?
Nope, Selena comes next.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, Selena, you're up.
Good morning, everybody. My power's out here, so that's why I'm not on camera. Over, like Jerry said, on Saturday, the CERT team was activated to assist with flooding. Fortunately, I was able to set up an activation list for CERT deployment before the holidays because my jury service was ended early. So I just had a feeling I really needed to get it implemented since we started badging our certs. And thank goodness, because it came in handy and the system worked. And it's a really easy platform to use. So thanks to Jeff Norris for working with me. But the CERT team was able to assist with filling sandbags in Woodside Portola Valley and assisting residents with flooding on their property, as well as delivering and placing the bags, which I think is really great. And what I want to move forward with is possibly having some sort of training moving forward for filling of sandbags and placement of sandbags for our CERTs. So any new CERTs coming in, this will just be an easy skill where they can just step in and we don't have to go through any, specific training. So hopefully we'll get that on the docket. On Wednesday evening through Thursday morning, let me back up a little bit. After the first deployment, they conducted a hot wash via Zoom, and they discussed activation and lessons learned. Mark Dolan provided a very good summary on our groups, on our listserv online, of what to prepare for another deployment. So we were ready to deploy, but we did not activate last night. But like Jerry said, last night through this morning, both CERT and READY members from Portola Valley and Woodside helped man a temporary evacuation point at Woodside Town Hall. And what that basically was is if anybody needed to have an immediate place to go, they could go down to the town center and then be directed on shelters where they could go and find refuge. And I thought this was also great. I had a contact with the volunteers there via the CERT radio, which I think that was another great tool that we got to utilize during this time is communicating over the radio. And as well, I want to thank again the volunteers in Portola Valley. Jerry, I know that you signed up for a shift there, and Cam, who's one of our main CERT people here too, signed up for the Woodside gig. For the messaging over yesterday, I really was monitoring the PB forum and all the other listservs that I'm on, because people were reporting information on there, and I was trying to keep things up to date without inundating too much. It can be kind of difficult. And then as well, I was utilizing our Instagram page. So the Woodside Fire Instagram page, I was posting on stories, especially when we had 84 shut down for quite a while. I posted on there. I think one question we need to ask ourselves when we're trying to look for information is what specifically we want, right? So understanding, yes, there are many different ways to get information, but what is the specific information we want in that moment? And then that could probably help guide us on what platform we want to use. So Craig, thanks for that suggestion of trying to make it clearer for residents. Otherwise, I just want to say thanks again for all the volunteers. Everybody's been so great, and it's nice to see the CERT team coming together.
A question. Why did the town of Portola Valley not have a center opening up? Because if you have to drive all the way to Woodside, and when trees were falling down on Portola Road as it did on the weekend, that becomes very difficult. So why didn't the town of Portola Valley open up a center too?
I think that's a question for me, through the chair, if I could. I think it's a fair question. We talked internally as we were talking with Department of Emergency Management yesterday about whether or not such a center would be utilized in town. And knowing that Woodside had one open too, and some other communities did, what we've seen in the past is when people are leaving the community, they go to a hotel, they go to some other place. But it's a good data point for us in the future, and certainly we can, if it's something that we want to have as part of our regular suite of activities that we do. But we had a lot of discussions yesterday about whether or not we would do that and whether it would be utilized. And happy to take any input from the EPC. Thanks.
Greg, I see your hand up.
Thanks. I was part of Saturday's sandbagging team. And since I got you all as a captive audience, the one thing I wanted to tell everybody is please get the word out that you fill sandbags half full. There are a lot of people coming and literally taking, we were having problems with sand and they kept filling them all the way up. So they could barely lift them up. they're not very useful in that configuration because they don't lie flat, and they were using up sand faster than we could deliver it. So again, since you guys are all here, any chance you have to tell people, fill your sandbags half full, you know, it's not obvious. Like if you've never done it before and you show up, it's not obvious what to do. But we try to put a sign, at least in Portola Valley, up to start reminding people. But if you guys can help get the word out, that would be great. Because yeah, it was a cold, very cold, long, wet day. Thanks.
Yeah, to Craig's point, I think you know, we try to push out messaging as much as possible in advance about proper filling of sandbags. But I think what would be a really great thing is having just a simple sign with, you know, icons of like 3 steps of how to fill it. Because last year, I remember when I was at the sandbag station, I showed up and this woman just had no idea what to do with anything. She's like, why is this cone here? Why is there no shovel? Like, you know, at all. So maybe having something immediately at, you know, each of the sandbag stations that's very easy to read, that we can just, you know, just pull out every year, I think would be great.
Yeah, and Howard's got a nice little diagram. So I was working with him on doing that, at least in Portola Valley, and we could probably duplicate it for Woodside.
We could do also a YouTube video on the town's website. You know, pictures are worth 1,000 words. And I know how heavy sandbags are.
I think in an emergency, having the information at the site is most important. I doubt that too many people are going to look elsewhere for the information. So it's got to be very easy, and having that right at the you know, mound of sand makes the most sense.
A sign as to how much goes in a bag, a picture of a half full.
Picture, right.
The other place to put it, Jerry, is on the website when people try to find the location.
Yeah.
That's another good place. So I think both those places would be good. And if you look at where it says on our website, there actually is a little picture there that you guys should take a look at and see if you had any comments on, because that's likely what we're going to reproduce to put on site. That basically Howard sort of stole from somebody, you know, from the county or somebody.
Well, all kinds of information are useful because people look in different places. But if your internet's down like mine yesterday, that wouldn't be very useful. I need the stuff at the bags, you know.
Yeah, more is better.
Okay, great. Selena, anything else? That's it.
Nope, we're good.
Great. Thank you all very much. And I'm glad to see CERT coming together. That's very exciting, actually. Very exciting. It's been a long process. Okay, now we have the town report.
Thank you.
Do you want to ask for public comment? Sorry, just I don't know if there is any, but just in case.
I think you are it, Craig, because you're now part of the public. Any other public comment? Okay, now we can move on to the town report. Jeremy, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Dale. Let me add my thanks to everyone who helped out over the last days as it related to the storm. I want to add another group, or actually 2 groups. The fire mitigation group through Woodside Fire Protection District, they were available and extremely helpful in the last few days. And I've got to give kudos to Howard and his team. I think they did an exceptional job preparing for these storms. You know, I don't want to take too much lesson from the last couple of days, but you know, certainly our storm drain systems generally did very well. The amount of sand and sandbags that Howard had out was extraordinary. We did better than pretty much every other city. And that included someone coming and stealing something like 1,500 bags at one point. They just took them all.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a bummer. But Howard did an exceptional job, and I know if you feel the same way, send him an email. I think he nailed it the last little bit. I also want to thank Craig Taylor. Craig picked up some bags for us at one point. Was out there with the CERT folks shoveling sand in the bag. So thanks, Craig. Really appreciate it.
2,000 bags at twice the price.
Yeah, we spent a little bit of money. There was price gouging going on yesterday, unfortunately, but it is what it is. I mentioned the evacuation stuff. That was the main part of what I wanted to say today. And other than to thank Ray Rothrock for reaching out to Howard and having a conversation about the status of the AM radio, which is driving us all batty, I know, but I'm glad that we all feel like we're on the same page now. So thanks.
Anything on the town backup for internet, Jeremy?
Yeah, so we've been working. We've got a new internet provider, Stepford. We used to use Redwood City IT. They've given us a couple ideas. I'm going to probably end up taking this over. I hadn't planned to say this today, but Melvin Gaines is actually our assistant town manager. He's moving on. He got an amazing gig with the city of East Palo Alto as their city manager. So he had that responsibility. So I'm probably going to take that over. Just pulling back the curtain a little bit. I did not want a large amount of time between when Melvin left and a new person coming on board. So I've made an interim appointment where somebody's coming on board at the end of the month. There's actually a little bit of overlap with Melvin, and then we'll do recruitment later this year. So that person will take over some of these responsibilities, but I'm going to step in the next couple of weeks to see if I can get this moving along. I think we're waiting on Stepford still for a few pieces here, but I'll let the committee know next month. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Any public comments, questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to subcommittee reports. Ray.
Dale, I'm sorry, before you jump in, I gotta leave. So everybody, Happy New Year. Good seeing everyone. Take care.
Okay, thanks, Jeremy. Okay, Ray, go ahead. Floor is yours.
Sure, nothing new to report than what I've already reported, and Jeremy covered the AM radio is still sort of in limbo with Cal Water. I'll just say that all of you should go get your ham radio license. We had a great party on Tuesday night. We had 11 people check into the sheriff's net at 8 o'clock, which is a tied record here. Portola Valley people are asking, little old Portola Valley is becoming quite active. So it's pretty good. I think everyone was testing their system. We've had Craig Taylor. I think that's the first time I've heard him on, which was fantastic. So anyway, all the repeaters are up. All the backup systems are working. And the antennas didn't blow off the top of the Easter Cross tank. So I think we did a good job there. Jerry and Dale and I resecured them, I don't know, about a month ago or so, and made sure they were locked down tight. So all good. And I monitored everything last night. There was a lot of chatter last night around people checking in and stuff. So anyway, all good. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Ray.
Can I
I just want to really shout out again, Ray's leadership in this area is extraordinary. And I wonder if there's any other community that has somebody with his talents and energy helping us get this program up. And he has inspired many of us to become ham radio operators and helped us along. And I personally appreciate it. And I know many other people do as well.
Thank you, Jerry. Very kind.
Yeah, I was going to add the same. I was pretty impressed with how well all the repeaters worked. Because between Ray and Mark, the two of them have been truly a powerhouse in building out a pretty state-of-the-art system. So yeah, thanks, Ray. It really was fabulous to see. I can get both if I stand in the right place in my house.
Yeah, very good. Thank you both.
Okay, evacuation, Rob Young.
Yeah, the major thing that has moved in the last month is Don Bullard has asked Marshall Hurd and Selena Brown to work with the EPC evacuation subcommittee members and town staff to get a Rev 1 of a written Portola Valley evacuation plan done in conjunction with the team working at the San Mateo County of Emergency Management and the sheriff and the other stakeholders involved. The goal that we're pushing for is to try to have kind of a Rev 1, which will include the schools and the other ones that have already been in progress to be done by the start of fire season this year. Again, I emphasize Rev 1 because this will not be a final plan. This will be something that we can start to hold our hat on of what happens in a case of a fire. And we'll add other evacuation needs to it as we go on.
Great. Okay. Vic, anything new to report?
Yes, just a quick update. As you may recall, we had an organizational meeting on the ranking systems that we set up and the recommendations that have been made, the 14 or so recommendations. And that organizational meeting was on November 9th, at which time we went over each of these items. 14. We went over each of these items and figured out who had the responsibility and what the time frame was to get these done. A number of these are already underway, and the bulk of them we decided to leave until after the first of the year. Jeremy and I will be having a conversation next week or so to revisit the various assignments and progress that should be made. I would note that the EPC itself on several of these rankings was designated to handle certain of these projects. Once again, I'm happy to report a number of these, like our communications and education and so forth, are already underway, but there's several others that I will identify for the next meeting where we need to allocate some of the follow-up on these ranking items. So I hope to have a follow-up report of our progress at the next meeting, and in the interim, we'll meet with Jeremy and coordinate what's going on with the staff.
Great. Thanks, Vic.
Sure.
Ray, somebody had a comment? No? Okay. And Chris is not here. Lynn is not here. And we just had a big report on the safety element. So that is the end of subcommittee reports. Do we have any other comments from Mary Ann?
Yeah, actually, one thing that went through my mind, I had a question for Ray regarding the subcommittee where we're going to do the runoff. Ray, I know you have given a lot of thought just because of where you are. Would you be interested to be part of the subcommittee when we're talking about runoff, whatever, impervious surfaces, mudslides?
Sure. Yeah, I'll be happy to help out.
Okay.
Done a lot of engineering.
Because I know you have done a lot of thinking.
Yeah. That
means I think that means that we're one too many. Is that correct? That one person would have to step off.
So
we lost Craig, so I think we're okay.
Ah, great. Perfect. Thank you, Ray.
All right. Sure. Let me know.
Okay, any other comments? Craig?
I was just going to add, Mary Ann, it might be worth having your subcommittee schedule a little bit of time with the town attorney, just to get a sort of rough outline on sort of what the obligations are. Because my understanding is, and I'm not an expert, is it's fairly complicated law. Like if it's a natural drainage and blah, blah, blah. So I think it'd be helpful to at least have an overview of that as you're trying to think about what would be the right way to solve the problem, because you obviously need to solve it within a legal context.
That's a great idea. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Any other comments? Okay, well, thank you all. Our next meeting is February 2nd. Anybody not going to be available on the 2nd? Okay, so it looks like we probably will have a quorum. I would presume we will. If you have any agenda items for the 2nd, please get them to me. Remember, agendas have to be sent out the week before the meeting. It's generally on a Wednesday is my deadline. So something has to be in a week ahead of time to make it on the agenda. I generally send out a reminder to the people who have standing reports, but please let me know if there's anything that needs to go on the agenda. Craig has his hand up.
Sorry for all the time. One last thing. So I'm looking to try to find my replacement for you guys and get them approved and on board. I'm assuming you want to go back to your full complement.
No, we want to cut the committee in half, Craig. No.
You know, I mean, you might like 10, you know, it makes for nice split decisions. So anyway, hopefully, as soon as we get through the planning commission and ASCC appointments, we'll get to the committee appointments. And I know at least one person that's interested would be good. So assume there'll be a full committee soon.
Craig, will you be our liaison?
You know, it's up to the mayor to decide. I've asked to be the liaison because I think I've got the most knowledge. But you know, at the end of the day, we'll see what the other council members want to do. So I should know that hopefully by the next meeting as well. And then it'll be a little more official and a little less just jumping in. Thanks.
Okay. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
I can,
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Here.